If you're still struggling with money even after working hard, the problem isn't your income. It's your habits. Most people don't realize they're carrying invisible traps that silently destroy their future. These habits look small, feel normal, and even seem harmless. But they secretly drain your time, energy, and potential every single day. The painful truth? Staying poor is often a repeated pattern, not a one-time event. In this video, you'll discover the 3 deadly habits that guarantee you never break out of financial struggle. Habits that 90% of people practice without ever noticing. If you want real freedom, real growth, and a life where money works for you instead of controlling you, then this is the wake-up call you've been waiting for. Change the habits. Change your future. Habit 1. The micro-comfort dependency loop. The hidden habit that keeps you poor forever. Most people believe poverty comes from big mistakes, bad spending, poor planning, or low income. But the truth is far more subtle and far more dangerous. Poverty usually grows from tiny, invisible habits repeated daily. And the most destructive of these is something almost no one talks about: the micro-comfort dependency loop. This habit is so silent, so normal, so culturally accepted that millions fall into it without knowing. It's not laziness. It's not lack of intelligence. It's the human brain getting trapped in small, daily comforts that slowly destroy long-term progress. The loop begins when you choose immediate emotional relief over long-term financial stability. It happens in tiny moments. The quick dopamine hits, the small escape activities, the harmless pleasures you give yourself because life is stressful. This doesn't look harmful. It doesn't look dangerous. But these micro-comforts rewire your brain, drain your discipline, and shrink your future without making any noise. They are the slow poison of ambition. Every time you choose something that feels good immediately, your brain learns a powerful but dangerous lesson. Avoid discomfort. Avoid challenge. Avoid long-term growth. What starts as a small act, scrolling on the phone after a tiring day, buying a little treat after a stressful moment, avoiding difficult tasks by choosing simple distractions, becomes a full psychological dependency. And without noticing, your brain becomes addicted to comfort and allergic to challenge. The financial disaster begins slowly. Because when your brain becomes trained to escape discomfort, you naturally avoid everything that builds wealth. Learning new skills, practicing patience, saving money, investing consistently, improving discipline, starting difficult projects, or taking calculated risks. Wealth requires delaying comfort. Poverty comes from worshiping comfort. The micro-comfort loop makes you choose short-term relief so consistently that long-term rewards never arrive. This habit shows up repeatedly in daily routines. You promise yourself you'll start learning a new skill tonight, but then you feel tired and say you deserve just 10 minutes of entertainment, which becomes an hour. You decide to save money this month, but then you feel stressed and buy something small to feel better. You plan to wake up early to improve your life, but your brain convinces you to stay in bed because you need rest. These tiny escapes feel harmless, but that's exactly why they silently shape your future. Micro-comforts steal time, energy, focus, and opportunity. The cost is invisible today, but painfully visible years later. The harsh truth is that the human brain is biologically programmed to prefer ease over challenge. Dopamine rewards small pleasures instantly, while success rewards you slowly. Over time, your brain becomes trained to chase what is easy instead of what is important. And once the loop becomes established, breaking free feels impossible. You don't feel motivated. You don't feel inspired. You don't feel capable. You begin to believe the problem is your life when the real problem is your brain's reward system. Neuroscience reveals something shocking. Frequent micro-comfort behavior reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for discipline, planning, and long-term decision-making. When this part weakens, people lose consistency. They lose ambition. They lose strategic thinking. They don't think about 5 years from now. They only think about right now. And nothing keeps you poor faster than short-term thinking. This habit shapes your lifestyle in ways you don't immediately notice. You become tired more easily. You feel overwhelmed by small tasks. You avoid discomfort even when discomfort would help you grow. You look for shortcuts instead of systems. Your discipline becomes unstable. Your motivation becomes unpredictable. You lose trust in yourself. You keep restarting goals because you keep breaking promises to yourself. You call it procrastination, but it is actually micro-comfort dependency hijacking your behaviors. The most dangerous part is how the loop influences money. People stuck in micro-comfort addiction make financial decisions emotionally, not logically. They spend small amounts frequently to feel good. Snacks, digital purchases, entertainment subscriptions, impulsive shopping, unnecessary upgrades. Each one is small, but together they create long-term financial leaks. Poverty rarely comes from one big mistake. It comes from 1,000 tiny choices repeated every day. Micro-comforts evaporate money silently. Over time, this habit shapes your identity. You begin to believe you are someone who can't stay consistent, someone who can't save, someone who can't grow. These beliefs become a self-fulfilling cycle where you stay exactly where you are. Because once micro-comfort becomes your identity, ambition dies without a sound. You stop imagining a better future because your brain is stuck in the present moment's pleasure. But there is a deeper layer most people never see. Micro-comforts destroy the ability to tolerate boredom, and boredom tolerance is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Wealthy people can repeat boring work, budgeting, learning, practicing, investing, building systems, day after day. Poor people escape boredom through comfort and entertainment. The difference looks tiny in a single day, but massive across 365 days and life-changing across 5 years. This habit affects your confidence too. Every time you choose micro-comfort over your goals, you teach your brain that you're not strong enough to follow through. Slowly, quietly, your self-respect decreases. You feel guilt, disappointment, self-doubt. You begin to avoid challenging tasks not because they're difficult, but because you no longer believe you can handle difficulty. Comfort becomes both prison and painkiller. Socially, the loop becomes reinforced because people around you often normalize it. Friends encourage relaxation, entertainment, small indulgences, and easy choices. Society rewards pleasure, not discipline. But no one sees the long-term cost. People who live in micro-comfort loops often surround themselves with others who are trapped in the same cycle. People who talk about changing their life but never do the uncomfortable work required. Economically, micro-comfort dependency kills opportunities. Growth requires sacrifice, attention, and patience. But the loop makes your mind impatient and your standards low. People stuck in this habit don't stick to routines, don't master skills deeply, and don't stay consistent long enough to see results. As a result, they remain in low-income positions, low-growth environments, and low-impact lifestyles. Psychologically, this habit makes failure feel final and success feel unreachable. When you're used to comfort, even small challenges feel overwhelming. The brain interprets effort as a threat, not an opportunity. This is why people in micro-comfort loops often quit quickly. They don't have a motivation problem. They have a brain conditioning problem. Financially, this habit forces people to live in reaction mode. Instead of planning ahead, they react to emotions. Instead of building wealth, they chase relief. Instead of investing, they spend on comfort. In the long term, this creates cycles of debt, paycheck-to-paycheck living, unstable savings, and zero financial leverage. But the most heartbreaking part? People trapped in micro-comfort loops don't realize how much potential they're losing every day. They don't see the books they didn't read, the skills they didn't learn, the opportunities they didn't take, the money they didn't save, the courage they didn't act on. They don't see the version of themselves that could have existed if they had built tolerance for discomfort instead of addiction to comfort. Escaping poverty begins with escaping comfort dependency. If you don't break the micro-comfort loop, discipline will feel impossible, focus will feel exhausting, consistency will feel unnatural, and long-term thinking will feel meaningless. The moment you begin training your mind to sit with discomfort, even in small amounts, everything changes. Your future expands. Your confidence grows. Your financial decisions improve. Your identity upgrades. Your tolerance for hard work increases. You begin shaping life instead of escaping it. This is why the first habit that keeps people poor is not overspending, not lack of opportunity, not lack of education. It is the unconscious addiction to micro-comforts that quietly erases the possibility of a better future. Habit 2. The delayed life syndrome. The habit that silently destroys your future wealth. One of the most dangerous habits that keeps people poor forever is something almost no one recognizes in themselves. It doesn't look harmful. It doesn't look irresponsible. In fact, it often feels logical and justified. It is the habit of delaying your real life, postponing growth, improvement, decisions, and opportunities, because right now is not the perfect time. This psychological trap is called delayed life syndrome, and it silently kills thousands of dreams without making a sound. Delayed life syndrome begins with one powerful illusion. I will start when things get better. But things rarely get better on their own. Life does not magically clean itself, organize itself, or create free time for you. If anything, life gets more complicated, responsibilities grow heavier, and distractions become stronger. People who fall into this habit always believe their perfect moment is coming. But it never arrives. This habit is built on the idea that your future self is stronger, more disciplined, more motivated, and more capable than you are today. But the truth is brutal. Future you is built by what you do today. If today you avoid action, tomorrow you will avoid action too. Procrastination doesn't disappear with time. It strengthens. Escaping discomfort doesn't disappear with age. It becomes identity. Delaying life becomes a lifestyle. Most people stuck in delayed life syndrome don't even realize they're delaying life. They tell themselves perfectly reasonable excuses. I'll learn a new skill when I'm less busy. I'll save money when I earn more. I'll fix my habits next month. I'll start my plan after this stressful period. I'll take a risk once I feel ready. I'll change my life when things calm down. But things never calm down. Life continues. Problems evolve. New issues replace old ones. And while life moves on, your dreams remain stuck in the waiting room. This habit is so destructive because it creates a psychological illusion of progress. You feel like you're planning, but you're actually postponing. You feel like you're preparing, but you're actually avoiding. You feel like you're thinking deeply, but you're actually delaying action. Delayed life syndrome gives you the emotional comfort of, "I will do it soon," while ensuring that you never truly do it. The problem grows deeper when you consider how the brain works. Neuroscience shows that every time you postpone an important action, your brain releases dopamine because you just avoided stress. Your mind interprets postponing as relief and relief as reward. Over time, your brain becomes addicted to the feeling of later. You start postponing without even noticing. The pattern becomes automatic. Financially, this habit is a disaster. People delay saving, delay investing, delay budgeting, delay skill building. All the foundations of wealth. They don't save because I'll start next month. They don't invest because I need to learn more first. They don't reduce expenses because this month is too busy. They don't build new income streams because I need more time. The future becomes an excuse factory. The most painful cost of delayed life syndrome is time. Time is the only resource you can never get back. Money lost can be earned again. Opportunities lost can be replaced. But years lost cannot be recovered. People wake up at 35, 40, 50 and suddenly realize the truth. Life didn't delay them. They delayed life. Their dreams were not stolen. They were postponed until they expired. This habit also attacks your confidence. Every time you delay something important, you lose trust in yourself. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. But you don't. You tell yourself next month will be different. But it isn't. You make promises you never keep. Slowly, your self-belief weakens. You don't see yourself as someone who takes action. You see yourself as someone who plans to take action someday. That identity kills ambition. Delayed life syndrome also shapes your emotional state. People who constantly postpone progress feel more stressed, more overwhelmed, and more disappointed even though they are doing less. Avoiding responsibility feels good for a moment but creates long-term anxiety. The more you delay, the heavier unfinished tasks become in your mind. Your brain carries a silent load of guilt, regret, and pressure. This emotional weight drains mental energy and makes future action even harder. This habit also affects relationships. People delay difficult conversations, delay setting boundaries, delay improving communication, delay resolving conflicts. This leads to emotional distance, misunderstandings, and resentment. The same principle applies to career development. People wait for promotions instead of earning them. They wait for opportunities instead of creating them. They wait for perfect conditions instead of using what they have. But the most dangerous area where delayed life syndrome operates is personal growth. People delay becoming the person they want to be. They delay building discipline, reading, learning, exercising, practicing, improving. They delay mental transformation. They delay self-development because they believe they need motivation first. But motivation is a result of action, not the beginning of it. Economically, this habit creates long-term poverty cycles. When someone delays action for years, three things happen. They lose compound growth, the greatest force in wealth building. They lose momentum, the energy that comes from consistent progress. They lose opportunity windows, which rarely reopen. Most people underestimate how much money they lose by delaying financial habits. A person who starts investing at 22 with small amounts often becomes richer than someone who starts at 32 with larger amounts. Early action creates exponential advantage. Delayed action creates exponential loss. Delayed life syndrome also distorts your perception of age. You think you're too young when you're young and too old when you're older. You think you have plenty of time until you suddenly don't. The habit convinces you that you have more time than you do, and by the time you realize the truth, the window of easy growth has closed. This habit even affects creativity. People delay starting projects, writing ideas, building businesses, launching content, crafting talents, starting passion work, because they want perfection. Perfection becomes another form of delay. "I'll start when it's perfect" is just a polite way of saying, "I'm scared to start." At a deeper psychological level, delayed life syndrome is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of discomfort, fear of judgment. Instead of confronting these fears, people avoid action. Avoidance feels safe, but safety never leads to growth. Life rewards those who begin, not those who wait for the perfect moment. Breaking this habit requires accepting one truth. There is no perfect time. Perfect time is created by starting, not waiting. People who escape poverty understand that progress begins with imperfection. They act before they feel ready. They start while scared. They begin with small steps. They create opportunities through movement. They use the present moment, not the imaginary future. Delayed life syndrome is one of the biggest reasons people remain poor. Not because they lack ability, but because they waste years waiting for magical conditions. Wealth grows through consistent action. Poverty grows through consistent waiting. Life does not reward intention. It rewards execution. The life you want will not appear automatically one day. It will appear the day you stop postponing your potential and start acting on it. The world changes for people who stop delaying and start living. Habit 3. The energy fragmentation lifestyle. The habit that destroys wealth. Without you noticing, the third habit that keeps people poor forever is something most people never even consider a habit. It has nothing to do with money directly, yet it affects income, productivity, focus, ambition, discipline, confidence, and long-term growth more than any financial skill ever will. This destructive habit is called energy fragmentation, a lifestyle where your mental energy is scattered across distractions, emotional noise, unfinished tasks, low-quality environments, and chaotic routines. It's the silent thief of success, slowly breaking your ability to build anything meaningful. Most people assume poverty comes from lack of opportunity. But in reality, poverty often comes from lack of usable mental energy. You may wake up with 100 units of energy each morning, but energy fragmentation ensures you never use them on what matters. You wake up tired, go through the day overwhelmed, move from task to task without clarity, and end the day exhausted without accomplishing anything meaningful. This isn't laziness. This is fragmented energy. A scattered brain trying to function in 20 directions at once. The tragedy is that modern life is designed to fragment your energy. Notifications, messaging apps, digital distractions, emotional instability, Multitasking, low-quality conversations, toxic environments, and the pressure to appear busy all create tiny cracks in your attention. Each crack leaks energy. Each leak reduces your ability to focus. Each reduction in focus reduces your potential for wealth. And because this happens silently, you don't realize that your mental bandwidth, the fuel of success, is being drained daily. Energy fragmentation begins with small, innocent habits. Checking your phone first thing in the morning. Responding instantly to messages. Switching between apps while working. Thinking about 10 different problems at the same time. Starting tasks but never completing them. Keeping clutter around you. Keeping unresolved conflicts in your mind. Each of these steals a small amount of energy. But together, they destroy your ability to produce deep work. The kind of work that creates wealth. The brain is not designed for constant switching. Every time you shift attention, your brain requires time to reset. This creates what neuroscientists call attention residue. The previous task leaves a stain in your mind, reducing cognitive power for the next task. When your day is filled with constant switching, your mind never fully engages in anything. You become mentally tired without producing anything meaningful. This is the psychological basis of poverty. Working hard, but not working effectively. Another layer of energy fragmentation comes from emotional clutter. Unresolved stress, past regrets, guilt, anger, anxiety, comparing yourself with others, worrying about opinions. These fill your internal space. Mental noise consumes mental energy. The more emotional clutter you carry, the less energy you have for growth and financial improvement. People often underestimate how draining emotional chaos is. A single unresolved problem can drain more energy than a full day of physical work. People who live fragmented lives stay mentally tired even when they haven't done anything productive. Because their brain is constantly fighting distractions. When your mind is scattered, consistency becomes impossible. You might feel motivated, but motivation doesn't matter when your energy is leaking from every corner. You may have dreams, but dreams die quickly when the mind is too exhausted to chase them. Fragmented energy prevents people from building stable routines, finishing projects, and maintaining discipline long-term. Financial success requires deep focus, not shallow focus. Wealth comes from building skills, thinking strategically, making intentional decisions, and executing long-term plans. But a fragmented mind cannot build skills because it gets distracted before mastery forms. It cannot make good financial decisions because emotional impulses override logic. It cannot stick to long-term plans because short-term distractions interrupt the process. It cannot accumulate wealth because wealth requires uninterrupted consistency. Energy fragmentation also destroys creativity. The brain needs uninterrupted time to form new ideas, connect patterns, innovate, and think deeply. But when your mind is constantly interrupted, creative insight disappears. This is why people with fragmented energy rarely come up with new ideas, new solutions, or new opportunities. They survive on routine thinking, not innovative thinking. And routine thinking rarely leads to financial breakthroughs. One of the most overlooked sources of energy fragmentation is information overload. Modern people consume more information in a single week than people 100 years ago consumed in a year. News updates, social media posts, trending topics, short videos, endless opinions, unnecessary drama. Your brain gets stuffed with low-value information. This overload leaves no space for reflection or personal strategy. You become reactive instead of proactive. You think you're learning, but you're actually drowning in noise. Another major source of fragmentation is the habit of keeping too many goals at once. People try to change their life in 10 areas simultaneously. They want to get healthier, start a business, build a skill, earn money online, read books, wake up early, become productive, all at once. This is a recipe for failure. Your energy is too diluted to create progress in any single area. Wealthy people understand that intense focus in one direction creates results far faster than scattered effort in 10 directions. The painful truth is that fragmentation leads to a life where you are always busy but never progressing. You end the day feeling drained, but inside you feel guilty because you achieved nothing meaningful. This guilt adds more emotional weight, which further fragments your energy the next day. Over time, this becomes a cycle that feels impossible to escape. The wheel turns, but the person doesn't move. This habit even shapes your self-worth. When your energy is scattered, you lose the ability to follow through on commitments. You keep quitting, restarting, giving up, getting tired, losing passion. Consistency becomes unfamiliar. You begin to believe you are someone who can't stick to anything. This identity creates poor self-esteem, which reinforces the fragmentation even more. You become mentally weak not because you lack ability, but because your energy is constantly leaking. Social environments play a huge role too. If you live around people who complain, gossip, argue, or drag you into pointless conversations, your energy dies quickly. Energy fragmentation is contagious. If you spend time with unfocused people, your brain adapts to their chaos. If you surround yourself with negativity, your emotional clarity collapses. If you stay around mentally lazy people, your ambition evaporates. On the other hand, high-level individuals protect their energy ruthlessly. They minimize noise, limit distractions, choose environments carefully, and create boundaries. They don't give mental access to everyone. They don't waste time on trivial topics. They guard their attention as if it were money. Because it is. Your attention is the currency of your future. People who remain poor often underestimate the power of a clear mind. They think success is about working harder, not realizing that energy is the real foundation. A focused, calm, disciplined mind can achieve in 6 months what a chaotic mind cannot achieve in 6 years. Wealth is not built by speed. It is built by clarity, consistency, and concentrated effort. Energy fragmentation kills all three. One reason this habit is deadly is that fragmented energy makes you feel like you're working, because you're always doing something. But since your energy is divided, nothing compounds. Compounding is the secret to wealth. But compounding only happens when your energy is stable and directed toward a single goal for a long period. Fragmentation prevents compounding by constantly resetting your progress. Here's the hidden truth. Poverty is not always the result of bad choices. Sometimes it is the result of scattered energy. When your mind is broken into fragments, you lose your ability to build anything stable. Not relationships, not skills, not income, not routines, not financial systems. Energy fragmentation ensures your life is always in motion but never moving forward. Escaping this habit requires rebuilding your energy architecture. You need to eliminate unnecessary noise, reduce digital distractions, finish unfinished tasks, clear emotional clutter, remove toxic people, create stable routines, and develop deep focus. Wealth begins with energy management. The clearer your mind, the more powerful your actions. The more unified your energy, the faster your results. Energy is your real currency. Attention is your real asset. Focus is your real advantage. When your energy becomes whole instead of fragmented, your entire life upgrades. You start finishing what you start. You become disciplined without forcing it. You think clearly. You move with purpose. You create momentum. You enter flow states. You begin to compound skills, decisions, and progress. The difference between a poor mind and a wealthy mind is not intelligence. It is integrated energy. When your energy is whole, you stop leaking your potential. You start becoming the person who can build wealth instead of the person who only dreams about it. This is why the third habit that keeps people poor forever is not just a bad habit. It is a broken internal system. Fix your energy, and everything else will rise with it. Finishing word. Break these 3 habits today, or stay poor forever. At the end of the day, staying poor is never about luck. It's about the choices we repeat without realizing their long-term cost. These 3 habits might feel comfortable, normal, or even harmless. But they silently shape your future, your opportunities, and your mindset. The moment you decide to break them, your life begins to shift. Because wealth isn't created overnight. It's created the day you stop living on autopilot and start acting with intention. Remember, you don't need a perfect plan, a big degree, or a genius-level strategy. You just need to stop doing the things that hold you back. Your future self is begging you to start today. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Right now. Your new life begins the moment you choose it.